Let's sing a song full of hope, full of pain. Why don't you sing along, my friend? For it's our last refrain. Forever young, ever strong, ever brave. Memories like this never end. No, they don't fade away. So when I'm gone, oh, when I'm gone, I'll be right there, close to the sun. Keep holding on, keep holding on. And I'll be right there, close to the sun, close to the sun. Close to the sun. Here's to the ones who let shine through the rain, the ones who stood for something more. We won't forget your names. The tide is high, say goodbye, we're setting sail, and all those midnight secrets told, we'll take them to the grave. So when I'm gone, oh, when I'm gone, I'll be right there, close to the sun. Keep holding on, and I'll be right there, close to the sun, close to the sun. Close to the sun. So when I'm gone, oh, when I'm gone, I'll be right there, close to the sun. Keep holding on, and I'll be right there, close to the sun, close to the sun.
Yo, gang, good evening. Happy Sunday to you all. It's getting on in the season. If you compare it to a football match, We've just started the second half of VLF1's 5th season of Formula One. This is race 14 of 26. This is going to be the Baku Grand Prix in Azerbaijan. And I'm your usual commentator, Cradden. Joining me with his big floppy hair in the world of Eorzea is Stillbend. How's it going?
Guess who's back?
With a brand new hair that looks like a
With
hat.
the exact same setup from last week. Because nothing screams production value than just changing a bit of text and a bit of a picture.
I do want to wait for the customary impress shout of what is this logo, though, both on the production value and also on the actual VL Stream webpage. So, yeah.
We do,
you know
we
what?
do try here
Impress.
at VLF1.
Yeah, then again, Impress, if you were so bothered, you'd be casting with us, so see why that's fine. I have to shout out and say I love the for anyone in the audience, still mostly changes the top right-hand corner image that's in the camera viewfinder. If you're a meme connoisseur like myself, you'll recognize that one. You can only theorize as to what it says. I appreciate it.
I thought you'd enjoy it. And luckily with our... not necessarily a rebrand, but our new visual effects package, we've gained a bit more flexibility than we used to have with the old setup, at least. So we're always pleased to take advantage of that.
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't quite have the full content creator package of But First a Word from our sponsors. Or maybe we do, we're just going to make them up as we go along.
Not yet.
So wait for at least Q3 on that one. So this is the Grand Prix from Azerbaijan. It's in the Baku city circuit. More about the track later. This is going to be round 14 of 26. We're officially in the second half of the season. And as far as things are concerned up top, it looks like a really close title fight. Sonny and Travis only 4 points apart, really fighting for that number one spot. Further down, Crispy, Glenn, Gaben, and Somther are fighting for third, although I wouldn't rule out Maka and Charmander Nerd from picking up a few more points. And you've just got a really strong field. Most of them are here today. There's a lot of action to be seen.
Those of you that were with us for last week's race, it had a real thrilling last 15-20 minutes, all culminating in that last lap battle between Trav and Sonny, who ended up coming through in the final sector for the win. Whether we're going to get anything particularly as spicy this weekend can only really be... we may know a little bit more after the first lot of qualifying sessions. Baku in Azerbaijan is a very tight track, not as tight as Monaco, but it's still a street circuit, some very sharp turns, not a lot of space when it starts to hit the fan slightly, so it may be a bit of survival as opposed to actual who's going to race fast this week.
Yeah, well said, Still. There's going to be a lot of really tough corners. If the trend that you're seeing, as you pointed out from Russia, of a lot of safety cars, a lot of dangerous collisions, if it continues into a very tight street circuit like Azerbaijan, then we could be seeing a similar number of DNFs, which, while damaging for drivers' hopes, is certainly spicy if you're watching it on stream. So today we're going to have a fairly full field of 17, which beats the 13 drivers that were roster locked in for last week's Russian Grand Prix. That means that in a safety car, it's going to be horrendous on restarts. Lap 1 is going to be fantastic. Law is on the grid. Back in Season 1, which seems ages ago now, he was the one to almost take out the whole field by not using his brake pedal at Turn 1. So all sorts could happen.
Is hoping for a pretty good race this weekend. We are almost ready to go over to the track and have a look at the very start of our qualifying coverage right after this intro video.
So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Baku. It's the largest city on the Caspian Sea and the Caucasus region, home to 2 million people and today 17 VL F1 drivers. The Baku city circuit has seen 4 races in real life, first held in 2017. It's a very tight track, as Stuhl brought up earlier, a lot of tight corners, particularly the castle section, turns 8 through 11, very quick winding left and right with no room for error with walls on either side. However, there is that real long straight at the end which allows you to get the drafting, the DRS, and really make that train count as you go around the circuit.
Okay.
So here we are, we're coming into the circuit. We're a couple minutes into Q1, and we're just seeing the first drivers come through, setting their times on the board, and Sunny, who I believe is near the top of the time trial standings, in the dry weather at least, is setting a 139.3, so as expected.
Yeah, first couple of times through, all pretty close between the people you'd expect to be close. I think there's definitely room for improvement from Charman the Nerd's early time, 141. There's definitely going to be a bit more in there, and we will hopefully see some more in a bit. Not very many incidents that we've spotted so far on the map, but we will see as they start to really stretch the cars out and see whether that's going to mean we get a couple more incidents that are going to cause issues in qualifying and both cause issues in the race potentially.
Yeah, it's so easy to see this happening. With a lot of other tracks, you can sometimes take your wing off, or you can have an issue where you maybe have a bit of floor damage. In Baku, along with a few other tracks like Monaco and similar enclosed street circuits, it's very much all or nothing. If you miss the braking point or misjudge your turning point, it's easy just to have a completely wipe-out collision where your car's totaled, you're out the race, maybe you cause a safety car, maybe you hold up the drivers immediately behind you. It can go very much from 0 to 100, not in terms of acceleration, but in terms of imminent danger impending and compiling upon previous incidents. So yeah, Castle section is probably the one.
Yeah, Castle section is that very small turn between, we're just about to see here as it comes up on the stream as we're watching Shadow Hopper. This section here, you've got a very, very sharp left, right, and then you've got a nice little wiggly bit. It's quite narrow because of the angle you drive through it at.
Oh, sorry, I'm going to have to interrupt you there, Stillbend. As we see 2 cars out of action already after ping pong. I believe it was the cars of Sumter and Hodgson. So we'll see more of ping pong later, but Sumter and Hodge certainly won this qualifying session.
We'll see if we can get a bit more of an angle, but it looks like they've just cleared themselves up. I saw Sumter's left the game, but I didn't know that he'd actually crashed or retired or whatever. So that's really unfortunate for those two so early on.
Yeah, they're fairly reputable drivers. You expect them to be fighting there in the tail end of Q2 throughout Q3. So yeah, body blew to them, but equally. When one door closes, another opens, and with 2 drivers dropping at the Q1 stage, all the other drivers have to do is beat Sumter's time of 139.8, a big ask, by the way, and they're through to Q2.
Hopefully we do get someone past that then, that there are no more people with no time, because that will get Sumter up onto P15 and into Q2, but because they've retired, they won't be able to set a lap during Q2. Thinking back to last weekend then, obviously we had Russia's quite a fast track. There's obviously some corners, as there are on all tracks, but there's not a lot of corners that are very comparable to some of the ones we get here in Baku. Maybe in Sector 2 where you've got that left-hander that Shadow's just about to go round. It's very fast and you've got to kind of hold on to that. And I suppose in Russia you might have that as turn 3, I believe, where you've got the Olympic torch bit. Because these tracks are a bit different, obviously the people we were watching last week, is there anyone specifically that we want to be looking out for this week, maybe in qualifying or during the race, that you may think is going to surprise us? Maybe people that are good with street circuits perhaps over regular circuits?
Yeah, probably a couple, as Blaze has a bit of an issue after Castle section. He's going to need to have other drivers adjust for him. Well played. He stood still there. So yeah, you asked about drivers who could maybe cause a shock. The big one for me is Charmander Nerd. He's been away from F1 a few races. In fact, he was over in Germany recently, in real life, as part of a meetup with friends. He's back on the game grind set and hoping to make his street circuit experience count. He's normally good at the circuits like Monaco, like Singapore, similar archetypes to this one here in Baku. So while he's got a mediocre time at the moment, I can see him improving quite a bit over the course of the sessions. On top of that, Zydox, who we've only seen once before this season.
Oh, no.
Tell me more.
Sorry to interrupt you, but Brandon has just died in the ping pong section. His car is doing some weird vibrating stuff, which is unfortunate, and the other camera is not showing, but he has definitely hit the wall, lost a wheel, and he has retired, which means Salter is actually P15.
Yeah, Miffy's car is currently coming around ping pong, so you'll be able to see the section. It's two very quick corners, and Blaze is just in the wall on the left-hand side. We might be able to see Monty's point of view, but no, Blaze has already disappeared.
Sorry.
So yeah, Charmander and Maka have already had enough. They're in the pits. At this point, with two drivers with no time leaving the session, everyone else just has to set a time, and they are through. So that's the job of Crispy, who's on an Outlaw, Law, and Miffy, the two AlphaTauri drivers.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that Somta's really not going to get to set a time anymore now, especially getting through to Q2 technically, but not being able to actually improve upon their P15 start. So we've already seen the back three set now. I doubt we're going to have much more issue with Miffy and Crispy, but of course, saying this, commentator curse is the words that come to mind. Miffy is setting purple sector 1, so he is, as they say, on 1. Hopefully after the castle we will see if they're going to continue to be on 1 for the rest of the lap.
Yeah, and they're not looking for perfection here. Miffy's doing all right at the moment, but just to get home from Q1, the stakes are lowest. The stakes are the lowest they can possibly be. You don't need to finish with a perfect car chassis. You don't need perfect car condition. You don't need perfect timing. All you need to do is bring the car home, don't invalidate, and don't total your car. With that said, Miffy didn't read the instructions, and he's just set a purple sector 2. So he's absolutely coming for a really good time right now. Ping pong, we've seen a few crashes, but we haven't seen the corner. He's just taken that very well, so it requires near perfect control of the car, hitting the apexes with the penalty being death if you don't. And of course, because the second part of ping pong opens out onto this very long home straight, it's important to get that exit. Miffy is going to get a 141.6. He didn't light the world on fire, but that was mainly because of his fairly slow sector 1. But importantly, he's through to Q2, so well played.
Good stuff for Miffy. We see the other drivers starting to retire now as they know that they're in safe to the next section of the qualifying process, which leaves all eyes on one driver really, and that's Crispy and the Merc. They still have no time set. They are currently on their outlap. We did flash up with the purple sector 1. He's had a little bit of trouble coming through the castle section there. Does manage to gather it up and start going down into sector 2 in this fast left-hand segment into the Giovinazzi corner. Is Giovinazzi or Stroll? I can't remember. I think they both crashed there this year, or last year.
I'm not even sure. I normally rely on you for the real life F1 knowledge. But yeah, all I know is the castle section was Charles Leclerc going, I am stupid. I don't know much about the ones afterwards.
Oh no, absolutely. That is definitely. I suppose as for VL F1 history at least, the castle section. Can't really remember who else has crashed there off the top of my head. There's a wheel in the track according to the game, but hopefully that's not in there for the rest of the drivers. Leaving his mark on the track. Crispy said his time 140.862. That's good enough for P8, and most importantly, that's good enough for Q2. Castle section, I think I crashed there last season, possibly, or season 3, and I think I also managed to clap calm with my cheeks or something, or someone rear-ended me and died as well, I think. So yeah, that's as far as I can remember for VL, mate.
I'm pretty sure you had both horses in there, so I think Calm and Flyer at the same time. So not
House
many
party.
people could. Not many people could challenge Calm and Flyer together at their best on the same day, but somehow you did it. And all it took was a very well-placed crash.
Well, obviously crashing in a qualifying or crashing in a race, not ideal. You want to be able to get your car around the track, get it over that line, and set some times. Not being able to move through means of death or not being in your car are generally not helpful to that goal. So I wonder how many times or how much longer we're going to be in Q1 still. A couple of people still on laps. The rest of the people are coming in at the moment, I think.
Yeah, we've got Scott retiring, but that looks to be in the pits as well. We've got 3 drivers left out. I can't see Crispy driving again, but he's coming up to the home straight now. It's worth saying, by the way, still that Crispy was the only one of the 17 to attempt the lap on mediums. Everyone else is on the soft tyres. So to do the explanation for the viewers who aren't too au fait with tyre strategies, in Q2, so our next qualifying session, which whittles 15 down to 10, the best time that you set, the tyres that you're having equipped during the best lap are the same tyres that you'll have equipped during the start of the race. So you've got to try and balance getting through to Q3 safely with a fast time, but also trying to use the slower set of tyres, the mediums, for a better start. I think it's the case in real life that we're going to be moving away from that regulation. So drivers aren't going to be locked to the Q2 fastest qualifying tyre and are free to choose their own tyres for the start of the race. Is that a thing? I don't
I believe so.
Yeah, it'll certainly make the strategy more fluid and sort of make Q2 down to pure speed again.
I was quite surprised to see that as a suggestion in the news or whatever for actual F1. I guess it's supposed to favour the smaller teams. If you're not too into actual F1. I'm sure we can carry this discussion on in a couple of seconds once we're back in the booth for a minute or two. But I just want to point out first, we've got the results for Q1 up. Everything up here, great stuff that everyone's through, but it's all about the story for this first segment where we've got no Hodgson, no Blaze, and no Somther going forward to Q2 through 2 crashes and possibly a 3rd crash. But yeah, going back to the actual F1 story. Obviously, we're playing on game, the simulated version. There's not any difference between the cars and the teams. They're just pretty and organisational. No performance difference. But in actual F1, you've got different manufacturers, a lot of performance difference. And I think these new tyre changes are supposed to help favour the teams that are on lower budgets and can't necessarily develop their cars as much as the big boys that will have more money to throw at more performance. So whether that will work for them next year and whether we're going to see something like that in the next game put out, for instance, that will be interesting to see what happens with that.
Yeah, I do like the ideas in real life where you want to promote healthy competition between the constructors. You don't want to have it turn into a bit of a monopoly where the same teams just get too much money and have positive feedback loops, if you've seen that Chain Bear video, and just keep getting success and engendering success. So I like sort of the way that the FIA are sort of using negative feedback loops. They aren't directly putting ballast on cars. They aren't doing reverse grids, although that's been discussed a few times. They're doing a few of the softer negative feedback loops. For example, they're giving the teams that aren't performing too well more time in the wind tunnel, more time to develop cars, I think a few more runs at practice. So it's part of the ideas of getting a more equitable standing, making sure all teams have a better chance at making an equal result, even if it's a bit biased to start off with.
Well, who knows? Maybe by the time, obviously, with all these changes for this year, new cars and new regulations, and of course new rules like this, whether by the time we've finished our season 5 here of VLF1, that there'll actually be a new game to start playing through all of this stuff, rather than doing season 6 on this game as well. Although, now it looks like Q2 has made a start, so we're going to jump over to the track where we are currently looking at Mr. Law coming around to about to start their lap.
Yes, check out Law. Love him. The most infamous moment I've had with Law was him dooting me all the way in Silverstone, but I love the guy. He's had a lot of time at home with his daughter. Recently ended his paternity leave, heading back to work. So he's time isn't a premium. Time is on a bit of a premium at the moment. But I always love to see him racing. Really cool guy. And I think he's alone in the entire field in going for the soft tyres rather than the mediums. He didn't have a great showing in Q1, so I think that's him sort of admitting that you can't really reach the times of the other drivers. He isn't as practiced or as fluid with the game, so he's giving himself a nice fighting chance by taking the faster and softer tyre compound. He's looking like he can accelerate well. I think he's looking like he needs to do a bit more practice for the braking points. You can see him just struggle with the traction a bit out of a few corners. And it's on this section of Azerbaijan that sort of punishes you. Especially coming through Castle, there's a few windy turns. He's managed that well, but the traction out of corners is so important on this track.
Absolutely. One thing while you're going on about that, I did spot that there may have been a little bit of an issue with Sunny down here in the start of Sector 3. We are seeing a couple of skid marks on the floor, whether that's in-game or whether that's actually caused by a potential issue that Sunny had coming round on their outlap. Won't know. We will have a quick look at Sunny in a couple of moments after Laws finish their lap and we see what time they put on the board. But from last week's race winner, we would hope to see that they're not going to have many issues getting around the track and that they can keep it nice and collected coming around the corner. Law putting in 141.6. That's roughly about what they were doing in Q1. So he's having a real interesting time trying to lay the power down when he comes out of those corners. I wonder if that's just a him problem, or whether that's going to be with a lot of the other people that are maybe going to look at running softs this evening.
Yeah, I did see a few moments, especially in Sector 1, where Law lost a few tenths with acceleration out of corners. I mentioned it a few times, so I won't labour the point. It's worth saying that he actually did improve from Q1, so he sort of brought up the rear end of the pack in Q1 with a 142.8. Immediately, he's just got 1.2 seconds better. The downside is that's not really competitive with the rest of the field. Unfortunately, he's just had a bit of a spinola and managed to get out of the way quickly enough. Charmander and Miffy doing well, low 141s, but there's Maka coming through, improving marginally on his Q1 time, and he's on the mediums as well, almost a 140 dead. Very well played.
Yeah, not ideal for Law there. He's got absolutely no front wing after that little bit of bump on the entrance to the castle section in the middle of the lap.
Yeah, Sonny just going up to the finish line there. He was looking very good, and I just had to call out that he was approaching the finish line with all the rage in his eyes, and he's beaten Maka on the mediums.
Excellent. Just trying to see who is going to be coming through next. It might be Gaben, who's just coming up to the line now. We will watch a couple more times come in from the likes of Gaben. We got the Red Bulls are still on their outlaps at the moment. I think there's Glenn at the back who is going to be coming up on his laps soon. So Gaben's on the 142. That's right, that's quite a respectable P3, and it is also over a second, or just under a second quicker than Charmander, who's in the pits in P4, and Glenn's also coming in with the 141.2, so just a little bit under a second slower than Gaben, the junior Ferrari project.
Now, it's worth saying at this point still that I'm scared of the Aston Martins. They were P1 and P2 in the first qualifying session. Zydox, by the way, he's been described as a very good driver, but he can sometimes have a few panic moments under pressure. We saw a bit of that in Belgium, but he came home with P3 anyway, so well played. At the moment, Zydox topped Q1, and he's currently in a bit of a convoy with Sunny. He leads Sunny out, and I want to see how Zydox is doing. He's just handled ping pong very well. He's on the run-in now, so all you have to do is throw down the ERS, throw down the DRS when the prompt appears, and keep your right foot planted squarely on that accelerator. It looks like he's going to set a fairly competitive time, and he's into P3, so not quite at Sonny level. Let's see what Sonny does. He's going to go into the pits. Aston Martin still looking very good.
Yeah, top stuff there from Zydox, and for the Aston stable. The Aston stable's not really consisting of anyone but Sonny on a regular basis, at least. It's people come and go as they get drafted or whatever on a weekly basis, but yeah, interesting to see Aston are already, they still managed to climb the constructor table just with one guy on a mission through races. Speaking of one guy on a mission, possibly on some kind of anime style redemption arc, we've got Travesty, who is absolutely hamming it round and is currently 1 tenth ish off of Sonny, currently in P2. Whether he's going to crack on for another lap or whether he's going to come in gathered up, save it for Q3, and then that will be his attempt. But good stuff from Trav at the start though.
Yeah, the championship battle that keeps on giving. I'd really love to see Sonny and Trav doing well and sort of fighting each other as they're doing here for the P1 in the second qualifying session. A quick reminder for the overall World Drivers' Championship standings after 13 races. Sonny has 200 points, he's our first double Centurion. Trav only 4 points behind. They've been neck and neck all the way through this season. No one's really within a shout of catching them immediately. You could call it a two-horse race, and that just makes the fact that they're so close and at the top much more exciting. You can never rule out the guys immediately below them, the Alfa Romeos, Zydox, and let's see what Charmander Nerd does here. He's actually just starting his hot lap. Crispy coming around to start his hot lap, and I want to see if anyone from Aston Martin makes a move. Not at the moment. So with the top guys already considered, we're getting close to the business end of Q2, and that's where we start to see the drivers who are in danger of dropping. We started with 14. Only the top 10 times are going to go through at the end of this session. When the timer hits 0, you finish any lap that you're currently on. You can't start a new timed lap. So it's really on those drivers without times or with the slower times to do what they can. The Crispies, the Shadow Hoppers, Monty and Law already on their outlaps. Scotty, who's in a very dangerous position on the mediums, is going round at the moment and 3 tenths down. So yeah, the pressure's starting to mount.
Yeah, it's getting to a bit of crunch time, especially when we've got 3 people with 5 minutes to go, 5.5 minutes to go at least. 3 people who still haven't got a time in. Shadows add 1 lap on their tyres. I think they're on another lap as well, but it's currently invalid, possibly. No, he's still good. His first lap round on this set of tyres was invalidated. I can't remember if it was him or Monty. One of the Alpines at least was missing a wing as they came back into the pit. So it's going to be a pretty spicy couple of minutes for these guys in the last 3 positions at the moment. Crispy, I don't think is going to have much of a problem getting out of the bottom 4 driver slots. We see he's just got a purple sector 2, so fastest time around that particular bit of track so far. Coming up to the line now. Let's see if he makes it over the 1:41.3 mark. Absolutely, he's gone straight to P1 in that case, 1:39.84. That's even faster than Sonny by a couple of hundredths, which is always good stuff. Maybe we might see a bit of a 3-way battle come Q3. Scratch that and make it maybe 4, because we've got Travis, we've got Sonny, we've got Shadow, and we've got Crispy, and they are all very, very close to each other at the moment, so it could potentially be quite an interesting contest in a couple of minutes.
Honestly, still, I haven't seen a Q2 battle like this in a while. I think it could get better, and I would like it to. The reason for that is the drivers that have just gone up to P1 and P2, Crispy and Shadow Hopper, they've done good laps, sure, but they weren't like groundbreaking examples of prodigious skill. They just equipped the softer tyre compound, and it's got about a 1 second advantage. So if they were on mediums like the other drivers near the top, your Sunnies, your Travises, Zydox or Alfa Romeo, they'd have been probably mid 140 and fighting for P7, P8. As a result, you've got a lot of drivers in midfield and in the danger zone who are seeing that there are only 4 minutes left, seeing that it's quite a long track out there in Baku, and considering 2 things. One is the switch to softer tyres to pull out that last 1 second advantage. Another is to do what we've seen a few times already, but not really highlighted, the toe. So we've seen a couple of toe moves from Red Bull, Charmander and Travis. I think we saw Monty and Shadowhopper try and get on the Alpine team last lap. And it's really good, especially on this straight. The slipstream speed is impressive. Charmander coming up to the line now, but it's not going to be a competitive time. He's going to go into the box with 3 minutes left. I can see him putting on the soft tyres now. Sonny's done the same. Travis has done the same in the box. Franklin's on his outlap with the softs equipped. Scott's equipped his softs. And Charmander has actually retired in the mediums. I think he's going to regret that one still.
Well, speaking of someone else who's just retired as well, Monty's not been having a real good last set of corners coming out of end of Sector 2 into start of Sector 3. He got a bit of wing damage in the castle section. I think then bumped a wall coming into the ping pong section of Sector 3, that very wibbly wobbly bit, coming up to the line. Has lost more wing, couldn't hold it, and has just sent it straight into the wall, full beans, and now he is wheeling. And that also means he's Q3-ing as well, because he's sat in P14 and he's not put a time in, so that means someone else is guaranteed to be safe. Whether that's going to be Glenn, he's got 1 minute 40 left on the clock, and he's still sat in the pits, so he should really be leaving now if he wants to try and get round. Could be.
And on top of that one, Bill, Franklin's equipped the soft tyres. He's going on his hot lap at the moment. He's 3/10 up. As it stands, Glenn is rapidly crashing out of Q2, and he hasn't even left the box. I think it's now too late to leave the box. I think Glenn has tactically misplayed this one.
Oh, this could be potentially spicy if Franklin manages to slam this lap in the goal. It's Franklin, we've traditionally seen in VLF1 generally racing for Alpha or Ferrari, that their general project as a reserve driver. I don't think he's held a full-time seat just yet, but whether that happens in the future, we'll see. He has just set a purple sector 2. Ooh, just keeping that wall there.
He's still valid.
He is.
Yeah, but he's about 8/10 up at the moment as well. Want to see him go around ping pong? It's clean. This looks like he's going to knock Glenn out.
Sad times for Glenn. As he comes up to the line, he is looking good.
Yeah, throw down DRS, throw down ERS, dodge the last minute quantum safety car bugs, and boom, P8 for Franklin. So Charmander should be safe now given Glenn's and Law's and Miffy's inactivity. But Glenn has absolutely waited in the pits while he's been knocked out by action around him. Scott's still on the track.
Let's keep an eye on Scott as we're now getting towards the end of the second qualifying session. Here he is coming into the entrance for the castle section. He's on the soft, so he's got the best chance. We don't have a split up on the screen at all to see how far off this time is, but he has got the traffic in front that's driven by Sonny. I'd say Sonny traditionally traffic, but whether he's giving him a tow or not, who could say? It all depends on how he handles this last section of the...
I'm not sure if Miffy came up to Sonny and insulted his mum or something, because Sonny's just almost in a position to ride the tow. We still don't have a delta, but Scott is looking good. He hasn't put too many feet wrong from the time we've seen him. Just seeing now he's actually 2/10 up. So he probably needs another 3/10 on this straight that Sonny's giving the slipstream on. Can he nail the second half of ping pong? He can. This is huge. Sonny's giving him the slipstream. 3/10 is the difference. Will he be able to knock Miffy out on the soft tyres? It all comes down to the next 500 metres. He's done everything he can. Sonny moves off to the left. Has he changed events? Not quite.
Oh.
Scott's still 4/10 off Miffy. That would have been absolute banter if it had occurred. But Miffy, after staying in the pit, luckily stays in the top 10 and gets through to our final qualifying session.
It's good to see that we live in a wonderful democracy of racing, online car racing. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out where I'm going with this one. I'm doing other things, but we live in we're all part of this community where drivers on opposing teams, they should be enemies, but they'll happily they'll happily arrange to give someone a toe if it's going to be top memes, unless it wasn't a toe, unless it wasn't arranged at all. It was all just circumstantial, and Sonny was like, oh yeah, go on then, why not?
Yeah, that'll be the defense in court, and it'll also be completely circumstantial when Miffy rails Trav out of turn 1 later on. It's called the quid pro quo, or motor racing, as certain people might see it. So yeah, we'll catch up with that little black market deal later on. But yeah, Scott, despite a valiant effort and despite putting on softs at the last moment, is exactly the kind of strategy you want to play at the end of Q2. It deserved to work out against Glenn and Miffy, who didn't come out at the end, but it didn't quite get there. So with 14 cars entering Q2, finally 10 cars participate in the showdown. Charmander and Miffy having the same time down to the 1,000th, by the way, participating. We've got... we'll make sure we get these results on board. We've got, I'd say, all of the main players that you would expect to participate in the fight for pole position. They're in there. They've got the soft tyres to burn. You can't really do a 3-stint approach in a long track such as the Baku City circuit. So I can see them saving 2 fresh sets of softs and absolutely giving it the ham moment. Sonny and Trav, to be honest, despite Zydox and Maka's really good performances, I can't see Sonny and Trav not being the ones fighting for pole. I think that's where we're going to see their big battle.
No, it's interesting you mention people having sets of tyres left, because the only one that I can remember from I think it was Q1 or Q2 perhaps, Shadowhopper, who finished Q2 quite high up, maybe P3, P4 maybe, they did have to chew through a couple of extra laps on some soft tyres because they invalidated. Whether that's one of the soft tyres sets that are going back to the garage and are not available for use in Q3, we will see. But if he did have to dig into an extra set that would traditionally be saved for Q3, that may prove a disadvantage for him and the Alpine team coming into this last section, which we are just about to get underway with.
Yeah, we've got the big boy analytics on the screen. Luckily we've got the race director to tell us. Most of our drivers did only use 1 set of tyres in Q1 and 1 set in Q2. The only driver that's still in the showdown that's used 3 sets so far has been Franklin over there in that Williams. So Franklin used 1 set of softs in the first qualifying session, and he went over to medium and soft in the second. Even so, you've got 5 tyre sets. You can still use 2 fresh sets. I don't think any of our drivers are going to be majorly struggling. They've got the options, they just need to put it on the track and come out with the best possible lap time, which is very difficult considering the high stakes of missing a corner on the Baku City circuit.
Absolutely. Seeing the cars come out of the box now, looks like, interestingly, people like Travis, I find, will generally leave it a little bit later to come out, but they're all trying to get the jump together, and it looks like the 2 Red Bulls are travelling in formation at the moment as well. We'll just give it a little bit of a look in up there, and you will see that Travis slotting in quite nicely behind Charmander as they make their way round. So whether they're going to try some Ferrari-esque tactics of giving each other some interesting levels of suck or something as they come around, we will be sure to see. But hopefully in the next minute or two we will start to see the first times come up on the board when people start their laps, and the first one's going to be Franklin.
Yeah, shout out to Franklin. I do really want to see the toes come out, much like Quentin Tarantino. It does give you a lot of slipstream advantage when you come down those high-speed straights, and the home straight of the Azerbaijan track is absolutely massive. I think you can probably gain close to half a second if you have the toe coming out of ping pong and all the way down to the finish line. I think most people will agree that the best place to deploy the toe is at the end of a lap, not the start of one. So you've got to set it up with your teammate such that you're both on a hot lap and such that you will both exit ping pong fairly close, but not too close to each other, because your rear driver is going to be slipstreaming up to the driver in front. On top of that, you've also got to consider relative performance. So if you've got 2 drivers in a team, one's going to be fighting for pole and the other's fighting for sort of 5th or 6th, you probably put the pole driver in front and give a nice slipstream to the one behind, unless you really want to give the pole driver the best possible chance, so you switch things up. The order is so important, and really you only have one chance because it might not come your way again if you try and both pit and both come out for a hot lap again. It's really finely controlled and you've got to make the most of it. The stakes are so much higher as well, because one person crashing in front leaves the driver behind so little reaction time. It can easily lead to your entire senior team or constructor crashing, and we don't like that.
Well, I mean, I'm sure the viewers wouldn't mind too much. Much akin to some kind of drama that you would get on a Thursday evening on one of those paid TV channels. But, you know, we're free, and we're not here to bring you drama, we're here to bring you racing. And racing is exactly what is currently going on. We've got a couple of things going on at the moment. Everyone's on a lap except Zydox, who's still in the garage with his feet up. Franklin coming around the final sector now, going to put the first time on the board for the group. And then he's also got Sonny, the two Red Bulls that are still in formation that are probably going to try and give each other the toe potentially. And then we've got one of the Alfa Romeos in the rear. Franklin through with 140.333, which is a bit faster than he was doing earlier on, so good for him. Travis and Sonny still pretty close. Their time's coming through as well. Looks like Charmander's come in the box. It was all an elaborate tow strategy.
Yeah, massive big plays there from Red Bull. One Aston Martin in there as well. Zydox still yet to emerge. Trav and Sonny expected them to be fighting, and it looks like they are. The fastest time so far before this session started was 1:39.295, set by Zydox in Q1 on the soft tyres. Both Trav and Sonny have now eclipsed that time, so they're fighting in their own league. I can see a lot of drivers getting close, but Sonny and Trav have just got that special magic power. And they've both got really fast teammates to call on. It's not like they've got a sub-driver who's just going in for the first time and is at big risk of crashing. Charmander and Zydox know their circuit, so they can both be really good at towing their senior or drivers with greater chance of success around the circuit. Yellow flag as we see one of the Alfa Romeos approach the castle section. Gaben just slowing down for a bit. I think he might have collided with a wall. He's got more time at least.
You think he might be out of fuel, really. His fuel light's flashing, which isn't going to be ideal for Macca's coming around next. And I don't think anyone in that little group of cars that's just coming out of Sector 1 now is actually going to be on a proper hard lap at the moment.
Alpha tow, calling that.
Yep, that's... I think generally for the Q3 runs, at least, cars will come around and they'll come in like waves, or they'll come in shifts, or however you want to view it, where they'll come out minimal fuel, just enough to get round, do a hard lap, and then just crawl back to the box. Obviously, running out of fuel is going to cut up more of your valuable time that you need to tweak your setup, or you know, have a chat with your teammate, figure out a bit of information. So not great for Gaben, but I'm sure it's going to be fine getting back there.
It's all coming together. Gaben was slow and he just wanted to set up the tow from Macca. Gaben's going to go in the box right now. Gaben, you absolutely beautiful desert fox. You've set up the tow for your teammate, and he's going to go into it as well. Oh my god!
We've just been playing.
Macca's just gone into P3 because Gaben didn't want to set anything hot, but he could totally wait for his teammate. I love it. I want to see more of that.
Oh my god. So that moment when you just realise that it's like the lottery, and you're watching, you think, you got your ticket in your hand, and you're like, no, we're never going to win the lottery or whatever. What was that? That was 5 out of your 6 numbers coming up there, especially for Macca. The fact that Gaben's either going to run out of fuel, or it was all just a pre-planned ruse that he's going to go slow, wait for him to catch up, and then give him the tow through that last section. Wow.
Like, I'm sure Gaben wasn't planning to be out of fuel. It looked like he couldn't complete the lap. But from the moment he said he was going slowly and Macca was the next driver 40 seconds behind, they knew what they were doing. They've been around the block a few times. So yeah, really well played by Alfa Romeo as a team to get that strike going. Macca, he might be punching above his weight there in P3, but he's certainly a good enough driver to do that. Zydox and Charmander, the only 2 drivers without a time. They're both on the track right now on their hot laps. They're certainly capable of fighting for that position up in the top half. There's now only 1.5 tenths separating Trav in P1 and Shadowhopper in P4. Trav, in fact, is getting a toe off Miffy right now. You love to see it. This is Baku strats at their finest. I think Miffy might have left it too close for ping pong, because Trav is just going to want to accelerate all the way. In fact, this is an outlap, so I can eat my words.
It does appear like that, or whether they're just going to get him the momentum to make a good start and start their lap with a lot of speed. Not quite sure how they're going to affect this, or whether it's just a bit of practice, really. It looks like one of the other cars, one of the Alphas, has pulled over, actually. Not a crash, but that is quite a dangerous corner.
I've seen this before, Alfa Romeo. You can't fool us twice.
Well, you would hope that they're not trying to do it, because Gaben's in the pit still.
Zydox is looking good, and he's into P1, 138.8. I knew I was looking at that delta, and it was ridiculous. Absolutely purpling the crap out of the circuit. Beats every time that's been set so far today, including Trav and Sonny by 0.3. No mean feat. Trav has gone into Angie bus driver mode, and he's absolutely herring it around the circuit, perfectly navigating through the curves of Sector 1. He's got an Alpha ahead, Alpha behind. Are we going to get a Sergio Perez situation? I don't know, but we've got Sonny just getting out the way of his championship rival. Sonny fears the wrath of Trav, as do I right now, and I'm not even racing. Trav looking really hot as he comes around Sector 2.
Trav currently 2/10 up as he enters Sector 2. So whether he's going to be able to hang on to that advantage, he's just coming up to the Mercedes of Crispy as he comes along this other back straight. So this may be advantageous if he doesn't pull up in the Crispy's hot gas. But we will hope that things are going to resolve themselves amicably as Trav's gone past. He's clear, and he's now going down into the final corner before the ping pong section. He's purple sector 2, and he's 3/10 up now, which is good enough for pole. It does look like Sonny and Zydox, though, are both starting to congregate into a group. But as Trav's coming up to finish his lap, we will see what the battle is currently at.
Yeah, this won't be a hot lap for either of the Aston. Zydox slowing down, Sonny on the out lap. But Travis is about to set a massive target. It feels like it. He's going to come through, and he's going to be short of Zydox by just under a tenth there. Sonny, I think, may still be able to push Trav down a position, because Sonny is getting in position with Zydox. He's about a second behind, and he's preparing for the tow, I believe, at the end of the lap. This will be the final lap for both Aston Martins. Let's see who else we've got coming around. We've got Crispy on a hot lap. Charmander is not really competitive with the current time. Low on ERS and low on fuel. I don't think we'll see an improvement from him again. We've got Franklin with a time that is 2 seconds down, finishing that lap. Aston Martin looking really good right now. Yeah, Amanda in the box. That's going to be probably his final action of Q3, currently in P7. Gaben starting his final timed lap at the moment. Franklin, you've got to feel, is on his, or maybe about to start one, in the final seconds of Q3. Trav is going for another lap off the back, because who wouldn't? I don't think his ERS or fuel will stand him in good stead, but I've been proven wrong before. And Sonny is currently going to be ahead of Zydox, so the tow might have worked too well, but he's certainly looking to power it down. We'll get you those deltas whenever we can.
Yeah, sorry about the little breakdown there. Just got a lot of admin work to do at the same time, so just trying to get that done before the end of the session.
Sorry.
Sorry?
I was going to say, get the admin work done. It's all about to get good. Trav and both Aston Martins approaching the line. So Trav on 36 at the moment. He's actually going to go into the pits. He's not going to improve on his time. Zydox is looking really good at the moment, but Sonny might be about to show them all what he's made of. He's on full acceleration mode, full ERS, about to hit the DRS as well. Only acceleration between him and the line right now, 135. This looks really good, 138.8 to beat, and he's going to do it by just under a tenth. Aston Martin currently first and second. I don't see any of the other drivers currently on their final laps being able to beat that, but I'd love to watch them try.
Really impressive stuff from Sonny there to get that through on the one of the final laps of Q3 here as well, time-wise.
Yeah, Gaben coming up 140.0. He's about a second up. Can he go a bit better, and can he get into the top 4? He can. Beating out his teammate Maka into P4. Great performance by him. Whopper coming through. He's not got the competitive time. The engine is whirring and groaning. He's not got the fuel to finish this lap. Crispy's looking alright at the moment. He doesn't need too much to beat Maka. And that man Maka is currently going around Sector 2 just behind Crispy. So I think that could hot up in P5 and P6 at the moment. Sunny looking really good at the moment. He doesn't beat his time right now, but that time is unchallengeably good at the moment. I don't see Maka or Crispy getting close. Although Maka might be trying it. He's about 4/10ths up at the moment. Crispy looking good as well. We might be in for a surprise as these final two cars come towards the home straight, come towards the finish line. 138.7 to beat. Crispy's going to be first over, and then Maka immediately afterwards. Crispy's going to set a 139.2. Maka is going to jump up to 138.8. That was within touching distance of the Aston Martins. But P3 is a fantastic reward. Trav into P4 after an interesting final lap.
That's you gotta feel for Trav a little bit, I think. After getting the win taken away at the last possible moment last week, and then this week, race hasn't even started yet. Q3, in there nice, and then the Aston Martin unknown reserve driver comes in, takes pole, and now the slither of starting grid benefit you have is now gone from Maka's wonderful performance there, managing to land that P3 on the grid.
Yeah, Maka, you really love to see it. I was totally writing off anyone catching Sunny or Trav. They've stood alone for a lot of the season, and Sunny has been absolutely meaning it around the circuit today. Maka, to his credit, was about half a second up on his time, about halfway around the circuit. I think he suboptimally went round Sector 3, and I think he could have actually taken out Sunny. But there's lots of could-haves, there's ifs and would-haves. And if is just F1 backwards, so you've just got to treat it as a hypothetical. We've got our final setup into the race, so in a short time I'll take you through to the grid, but the big message is Aston Martin have got a stranglehold on the front row. Zydox, he's not a newcomer, he's been in the league once before, a couple of races ago in Belgium. He performed admirably and got a P3 at the end of the race, at the end of the classification. He's currently set up to perform strongly again, P2. Maka, Trav, Gaben, Crispy, you expect them to be up there. They're in the World Drivers' Championship fight. They're also doing really well as far as qualifying is concerned.
Top stuff. Yeah, sorry about that. It's the trying to get all the information we need to get the grid video made just before the race starts. Can take especially when you're trying to commentate at the same time as get all that information together. Little bit of a lapse in the commentary there, but we move, and it's only for the qualifying as well. The race you've got both of us for 100%. So
massive moment.
We have had a particularly spicy qualifying session. The top three cars of Sunny, Zydox, and Maka all being within 1/10 of a second of each other. It's don't generally see that every race. There's generally a bit more of a gap, but absolutely fantastic stuff from them. I'm also quite impressed. I'm quite impressed on a personal note anyway. But to see Franklin make it into the top 10, P9, I think that's a really good showing from him. Sometimes it doesn't always go his way when we see him on a weekend. So good to see he's up there. Bit of a not too good of an evening for a couple of people. Charmander Nerd's one of them. P8, that early retirement. I think it was an early retirement possibly, or if it wasn't, I think I'm thinking of Q2. But yeah, coming in P8, still 1.2 seconds off of the P1 time, but P7 of Shadowhopper, was 0.5, not 0.11 or 0.9, 0.5. That's a big gap between P7 and P8, and I just think that Charmander could have been a bit closer to those front runners. Maybe he's only just come back. Maybe a bit of just needs to get into the swing of it a little bit more. So impressive stuff. But we are almost, all of this. It's not really going to matter anymore in a couple of minutes because the race is going to start, and it's all going to be up to everyone at once.
Yeah, totally. We've also got a couple of drivers that weren't in Q3 that you could see doing pretty well. Chiefly among them, I think, were the three that sort of crashed out in Q1. We didn't get to see too many of their talents. So they were Somther, Hodgson, and Blaze. Somther is P6 in the standings. He's had 2 retirements in the last 3 races, but also snuck 3rd in Monaco. We've had Hodgson, who has consistently got points in the last 4 races, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 8th in the last 4. So he's hoovering up those points, but he's had a few dire qualifying sessions recently. Shows his consistency, which is something that we can't say for the other driver, Blaze, who's got a lot of points earlier in the season, including a 2nd in the first round in Austria, but has retired in 4 of the last 5 Grand Prix with a 15th classification in Silverstone. So he needs the form. He's got the proven track record of getting points. He's just forgotten how to get them. So I think with those 3 drivers at the back, it's foolish to try and expect a lot of overtakes or a lot of passes early on in Baku. It would be reasonable to expect a safety car, given the amount of safety cars we had last week and the short area for runoff, the low tolerance for mistakes we have on street circuits like Baku. It's going to be much better just to have a patient strategy to just try and take your first few laps easily and then gain positions wherever you can.
Yeah, last week was certainly something for safety cars. Hopefully this weekend's going to be a bit of a cleaner race. But street circuit, close walls, as you say, it could be anyone's guess. So as we're waiting for proceedings to get underway at the track, shall we take a look at the starting grid for the race?
Let's do just that, Stillbend. And here we go, the starting grid for the 99th Grand Prix for VLF1. Big moment. Sonny and Zydox, the Aston Martins, they are currently owning the Baku City Circuit track. Top 2 really solid times in Q3. Maka and Trav probably would have been fighting for pole on another day, such was the dominance of the Aston Martins. They had really good runs, but you feel like Trav could have had a better final run just at the end there. Gaben actually improved a massive amount on his final lap. And I think Crispy with a toe maybe could have been fighting up there as well. I still pointed out the top 6 positions, all very close in those low 139s, I believe. Shadow and Charmander, quite a big gap between them, but they're right next to each other on the grid. Shadow in 7th, Charmander in P8. We think he's got a bit more in the tank. He always brings a bit more out when it comes to the races. And then at the back of the first half of the grid, we've got Franklin, who actually won a non-official VL race against some of the top drivers a few seasons back. And Miffy bringing up the rear, not quite finding his form in Q3, the final showdown session. Okay, Scott and Glenn. I'm fairly disappointed in Glenn's Q2 strategy of doing nothing. Scott gave his all, did admirably, but just didn't have the time to match our drivers further up. Law and Monty didn't really have the best showing, but we're about to see where they are. P13 and P14. Law, he's got his history here in Baku. He's got lots of history in the F1 grid. Let's see how he does. Somther and Blaze, 2 of our 3 casualties early on in Q1. Somther, of course, setting a time, but not able to carry his car forward. Blaze with a lot to show us, an air of mystery surrounding him. And Hodgson in the Ferrari project, not there to give the toe to Glenn, his senior project teammate. So that's our grid for today. We've got a lot of front-loaded possibilities up front. I'd say a lot of the heavyweights are where they deserve to be, near the front. Zydox is probably the key new, unexpected quality. I want to see how he contributes to the start of the race. I also want to see how Charmander and Hodgson, proven point scorers who didn't quite qualify as high as I'd expect them to, I want to see how they manage the race, manage the strategy, and respond to anything that happens, like a collision or a safety car ahead of them.
No, thanks very much. Thanks very much for that. It's going to be a bit of a lot of interesting things that could happen this afternoon. Evening. It's quarter past 8 at night. I don't know what I'm on about. It looks like afternoon in the game though, so I'll roll with that.
We take that. Worth saying, it's looking like dry weather as well.
Yeah, I suppose as commentators, we can't really see what the weather's scheduled to be, at least through the race. But seeing from what we can see at the moment, sky's looking pretty clear. Same for qualifying. That was also nice and clear. The only bit worth mentioning, maybe, which definitely affects actual F1, but I'm not sure if it's modelled in the game, is obviously the temperature of the track. Obviously, it's in a city. The streets are quite small, and there's buildings around in some areas, so the sun doesn't always manage to get to the road, and that means in some areas that the track is quite cold. In other areas where the sun has got to the track's quite hot, and that could affect the grip levels. And I don't know if that is part of the F1 2021 game that all the drivers are currently racing on. But if it is, maybe that's something we need to bear in mind. The drivers need to bear in mind as well. But that is all coming up in a couple of minutes, as we are just about to get going on the formation lap.
Yeah, drivers will start to warm up their tyres. You just pointed out how critical the tyre temperature is. It's also worth pointing out the optimal strategy is appearing on our screen. Most 50% races are single stop soft medium. The AWS Insight is actually giving us medium hard in some order. So it shows that this track just takes so much out of your tyres, with a lot of the harsh braking, the rapid lateral forces, and especially coming around the end of Sector 2 and the ping pong into Sector 3, it's a lot of high-speed lateral force going in there. So it really tends to encourage tyre wear, and that means that you want to get those boxes on. However, you've got a few drivers who are on the soft tyres. That's going to be Crispy, Whopper, Franklin, and Somtha. Now, Somtha had free choice, the other drivers didn't. I'm interested to see what they're going for. Maybe a two-stop, maybe they're looking to get immediate action, despite the fact that it's very hard to overtake early on. It's going to be quite a doozy. It's worth pointing out the history of this race. So we've raced it 4 times in VL F1, in fact the same number of times as it's been raced in real life, and we've seen 4 separate winners. 2 of them, Hodgson in Season 1 and Travis in Season 4, are on track today. The other 2, Flyer in Season 2 and Calm in Season 3, aren't. So Trav and Hodgson have the opportunity to make sure there is a 2-time winner. I'm sure there are 15 other drivers who don't want that to happen. Hopefully we get a lot of nice clean racing, but if there's a crash, I want it to be spectacular.
Interesting you mentioned Flyer and Calm, but both two names that used to be an institution really in VLF1, and you don't really see them associated with racing at the moment in either respect. So maybe one day we may see them back. Maybe not. Maybe they'll be lost to the book of legends of VLF1. But I don't think we're going to see many legends being made on the first lap of this race this evening.
Only Laws. Law has the lap 1 legend in Baku. Yeah, Calm and Flyer, they have long shadows. Calm and Flyer with 34 and 20 wins respectively in VLF1 are the 2 winningest drivers after 98 races. Between them, they've won more races than the other drivers have. If you take every other driver's total wins, they don't beat Calm and Flyer combined. That's how dominant they have been. And they're not here today, leaving a vacuum for other drivers to usurp their positions, get those all-important points. Maybe Sonny and Trav are at the top of the championship, but anyone can win on the day.
Is there anyone in particular that you think is going to make some spicy moves off the line in a couple of seconds' time?
Yeah, that's Charmander for me. I want to see what Charmander does. He wants to play it safe, but equally he's got that pedigree of trying to accelerate. So I want to see how he handles lap 1, especially with the drivers around him being on those soft tyres. Alright, so our drivers are getting ready. Lights are starting to come on. We've reached 99 races here in VL F1, and we're about to get kicked off. Well, everyone coming close to turn 1, positioning over to the right where they can. And they've got to get the optimal line on the track. Gaben getting pushed really close to the side there, going too wide. Further back, Glenn, Law and Scott moving correctly together. It's looking okay at the moment. Everyone moving together. Blaze with a very close move on Scott in turn 2. That could have been lots more interesting. Gaben looking for the slipstream on Crispy further up. Trav and Maka going too wide into a corner towards the end of Sector 1. Drivers are now starting to find a position, although Crispy and Gaben are very close at the moment. Crispy forced into the wall, but that wasn't Gaben's fault. He just didn't have anywhere to go because of how small the track is. Crispy now fighting with Shadow Hopper for position, and Crispy is going to win that battle.
Absolutely intense. I have no idea where to pick up on any of that because so much stuff's happened, but it's also the castle time, so we will pick someone a bit further back in the grid and we will see if everyone makes it round okay. It's looking okay. There's a bit of a traffic jam. Hodgson is bringing up the rear, but he's also made it through, so top stuff from them. Looking at the position changes so far, Blaze has gained 4. Good times for Merck. Not the greatest qualifying, obviously going out in Q1 with the DNF, but starting to make up some positions now. And Scott's already out by the looks of it. Bit of a run-in, possibly with Monty at the end. Oh yes, absolutely. So VSC, all the drivers having to slow down now. No actual safety car just yet, but the race is going to be neutralised for a couple of seconds. So we will have a quick look as to see who's going to suffer the most from this. It looks like it's going to be Law. Law was running really close in a little pack between Somther, Law and Blaze by the looks of it, so a real shame for them, but we got people coming into the box to get some damage fixed as well by the looks of it. Both Mercs at the moment.
Yeah, I did see Blaze do to wall on the way around Sector 2. He was having a nice little fight with Law and Somther, but he's just making sure the next set of tyres go on. Didn't see Scott's DNF. It looked like he was at the back with Monty having a nice little fight for jostling for position. Apologies. And just going around to that hard left-hander at the end of Sector 2. I think there was only room for one car. Probably a racing incident, but the beauty of VLF1 is we'll see a lot of personal onboard views later on in the Discord. VSC still active for now. It's probably coming to its closing stages, which means that anyone not adhering to Delta will be getting a drive-through. And there we go, there's 2, and it's both Alfa Romeos. You'll love to see it if you're not an Alfa Romeo. Maka and Gaben were not in the Delta, so they'll have to take a drive-through. Can't be taken under safety car, and can't have a tyre change or wing change attached to it. So that giga sucks for pretty much all of Project Ferrari when you compound that onto Hodgson's qualifying lack of performance. Both Aston Martins running away at the front. Trav managing to keep with them as the green flag happened just as the leaders were going through castle section.
Yeah, while all that's going on at the front as well, we've been catching up with looking at the battle between Somther, Law and Hodgson. There was a bit of a collision between Somther and Law coming into the castle section. One of them ended up in the wall. Somther ended up probably about 90 degrees facing the wrong way, but it doesn't look like there's much damage to any of the cars. Somther has kept the position and he is now proceeding on perfectly fine. Travis is making up a lot of time coming down that, coming over the timing line to start the next lap. But still, you know, half a second off of Zydox. They've all got DRS now. Oh, see someone in the back. Looks like Gaben was had a little bit of a problem trying to collect the car up coming out of that second corner.
And great googly moogly, Law managed to doot his wall on the second half of Ping Pong. Didn't total his car, but he is in the box now, and he's going to equip the hard tyres with a massive vote of confidence in himself. You need to see it. And he's just going to be exiting the pit lane, and he will be bringing up the rear for now. No one getting lapped. You love to see it. Sonny and Zydox still holding it down at the front, and both Alfa Romeos yet to take their drive-through.
Yeah, pretty. The gaps are starting to build now. Obviously, we've got the battles up front. Travis making some moves. If I can ever get the camera there, he's coming up to Zydox now on this back straight. Shadow has potentially crashed. Yeah, we will see if we can get eyes on that. Someone's crashed in the castle section by the looks of it. Let's see what like we can
Glenn
see.
At the moment. So Glenn's ghosting at the moment. Almost de-ghosted to hit Crispy. So it looked like a collision between Shadow Hopper and Glenn, or at least a knock-on. Shadow Hopper's DNF is actually past the castle section, so it looks like 2 disconnected incidents. And Glenn's ghosting allowed 2 drivers to make it past. We're down to 15 drivers already, and it's a full safety car this time. So all of our drivers will be returning to position. Maka and Gaben could have taken their drive-throughs. I don't believe they can under the safety car, so they're going to have to take them within 1 or 2 laps of the restart. With that said, they are going to stay on the track now. There's no point changing tyres at this stage. Charmander's going to take the box. I wonder if his wing is damaged or if he's going to make an early switch onto hard tyres for the remaining 22 laps. That's exactly what he's going to do. And he's going to try and make the Monaco Street Circuit jump on the rest of the field.
Yeah, it's whenever the safety car comes out, it's always a big time to try some new strategic plays for the teams, especially if you're not sure what tyres to go on or whatever. You can dip now, try and run one set to the end. So oh dear.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you there. So Crispy slowed down. He had to because of the delta. It looks like Charmander was right behind Crispy, and from his point of view, it was almost a brake check. But Crispy had to brake to get under delta. So Charmander had his wing taken off, and I think he's going to appeal that later. Crispy still couldn't slow down enough, and he's got to drive through. So an absolute fucktastic shambles going on there in midfield. Neither one of those drivers coming out well, both on the senior project teams. They'll both be hard moulding after that incident.
No, absolutely. And I suppose even though you've obviously got the option of either post-race penalties or removing those penalties where applicable, it's not, you can't really give someone back time in a live race. I mean, I know we're neutralised because of the safety car, but you can't just say, actually guys, can you just slow up for a bit because my mate got hit. My mate got hit a couple of minutes ago and he needs to catch up. That's not really how it works. So unfortunate for Charmander there that's happened, but we'll have to see what the stewards say after the race and see how they can best accommodate any remedy to that, perhaps.
Yeah. What Giga sucks for Charmander as well. He just made, as we talked about before, he made the ambitious play to go onto hard tyres, which is a high-risk strategy because it assumes no further disruption to the race, and means that if you can get through the long remaining stint without stopping, you might be in a better position and overtake the other people who have to pit. Charmander has then just taken his wing off on the back of Crispy, who had to brake. So I wonder if he'll be going back in and trying a two-stop overall strategy.
I don't think he has much choice than to not come in. I mean, he has to, and I think Crispy probably does to serve the penalty, perhaps. But no, never mind. He's just getting some wheels. They both are, in fact. So looks like Charmander's going back onto the mediums, and that's really going to disrupt his potential Hail Mary with those hard tyres, which is very unfortunate. But it's also just an element of bad luck, really. So.
Yeah, we might be seeing a return of the Brandon triple threat trifecta, which was to pit once onto the desired tyres and the safety car, pit twice to serve a penalty, and then pit 3 times to go back onto the tyres you wanted to. Meanwhile, your teammate keeps the pack separate further ahead. I've seen it before. I don't think Charmander's going to box again, but it would be hilarious. I think he's had enough disruption in the last few minutes, so he wants to get back on with his race, catch up to the pack. And if all then goes well, this should be the final lap under safety car, although I think it can go for one more if we need to.
It looks like they're all pretty close back together now, so I would assume that it's all going to be over at the end of this lap. So when it comes to the restart, it's a rolling start, not a standing start as we usually get with safety cars. So Sonny, who's in P1 at the moment, Zydot, it will all be down to Sonny to just go whenever he wants, and everyone else has just got to try and deal with that, just like NASCAR, just like the British Truck Racing Championship of weird tenuous links to bring into our VLF1 stream today. So hopefully we will get a message up very shortly to say what is going on.
I'd love to see Bint Racing come back into VLF1, to be honest. I love it when you stream the trucks. They just look so imperious going around. There we go, safety car coming back in. So yeah, Sonny has the restart. It's worth saying, so if you find yourself in P1 unexpectedly, basically slow down until you know the safety car has gone into the pit box. Because if you're close to the safety car, your engine will get limited, and that's how you do what I'd like to call a Hodgson restart, where you leave it too late, go up to the line, get your engine delimited, and everyone else blasts you off the line. So Sonny's going to have to slow down, but after that, after the safety cars come in, he has to pick his point to go full on the gas and hope that the drivers behind don't fully slipstream him. So let's have a look. He's currently playing a bit of the waiting game. He's got Zydox immediately behind him. And there he is. Sunny's pressed the accelerator. Zydox going immediately behind him. And Trav is immediately alongside Zydox. They'll be going almost too wide into the first corner, accounting for slipstream. Maka and Gaben are in the battle, but they've got drive-throughs, so they won't be in it for long. Trav really getting pushed out here. He's only just on the track and has to brake a little bit early. Gaben falling in just behind Gaben. Gaben falling in just behind Trav. And he's going to be dooted by Miffy. Gaben's off to the side. That's horrific. He's going to have to wait there for almost the entire field. In fact, the entire field to pass him.
Absolutely amazing stuff off the first couple of corners on that restart. Sonny definitely did that one quite well. Unfortunate for Zydox to not kind of read it just as well and end up having to get hassled a bit by Trav and Maka.
Blaze has hit Somtha, Blaze has hit his teammate and he's interrupted Glenn. Law's going to get past Somtha and it's absolute chaos here. Blaze just saw Glenn and the jungle drums were heard in the background. He just absolutely had to hit the button and he sent it into his own teammate at the end of Sector 1 there. There's going to be absolute chaos in the Mercedes call as Glenn is just going to have to sort of see what happens. I'm not sure if Glenn actually had any damage or if it was all Merc on Merc, but Glenn is then going to do to wall on the way into Castle, so no one's really winning here still then.
Well, you know, we're just tagging along with the battle at the moment. We've got Glenn, Crispy and Gaben. Crispy's got no wing. Gaben's now making it past both. I think Crispy may potentially be out here with the speeds he's pushing. He really needs that front wing. Is he going to slow down in time? Yeah, it looks like he's just manages to land it well. Absolutely unfortunate stuff for the collision there between Glenn and Brandon, but you know, we're having a motor race. Speaking of motor race, Blaze has just lost the position to Gaben. Is any of them going to maybe head for the box? I don't know. It looks like Gaben is hugging the left wall a bit.
So imagine being Project Ferrari right now. Glenn's just been dooted by a Merc on Merc incident with Brandon just throwing his weight around. Hodge couldn't make it past qualifying. Both Alfa Romeos have drive-thrus. Gaben makes a sick overtake only to get dooted into a wall by Miffy and still has to serve his drive-thru and then drive another lap with a broken wing. This is ridiculous. Project Ferrari really taking all the L's right now. They might as well be Project Falali. They're just absolutely having a really bad time. Maka and Gaben down to 10th and 11th. And I think Gaben still wants to pit for a broken wing, but we'll have that confirmed next lap.
Yeah, we'll see if we can just grab a look. It looks like their front wing is okay, so all may be in order, and they didn't look like they're having too many problems getting around any of those corners. Speaking of problem getting around corners, Hodgson, who went out in Q1, he's up in P5. How's he got there?
Okay, Hodge is some magician. He's some Harry Houdini, like David Copperfield stuff. Like, he was doing really badly. He was in, what, P16 going into the start? He's taken advantage of all the drive-thrus, all the safety car issues, all the collisions. He's just driven his own race. Be like Hodgson. He's just exemplary right now.
He's vibing. Who else is vibing? Franklin's up in P6. You know, P8 start. Pretty nice, or P8, P9, can't quite remember. He's doing okay. Obviously a lot of chaos around the first couple of corners, first couple of laps with the safety car as well, so not very representative of a final standing just yet, but he's going alright. Has bumped the wall a couple of times with the rear tyres, so hopefully we don't start seeing the threat of a puncture at all with that, as we see a little bit of a wobble coming out of that corner as well. Let's see what other battles we've got around. Hodgson's making a nice little advance on Miffy up in P4 with that DRS. Not going to have any more of that though until we get around the corner. And it looks like one of the Mercs is having a problem as well, but it looks like that.
That's Blaze on Ping Pong, and I think Crispy's going to use that slipstream slingshot to overtake. I can see Blaze going into the pits here. He just had a really awful time of that Ping Pong section. No, he's going to stay on track for now. Yeah, I was memeing on Project Ferrari last lap, but imagine being in Project Mercedes. Franklin, who's the sub who could have been in any other project, is leading them out right now. Something nosed up his car after Q1. They're both lead Mercs. Blaze has hit Somtha. Crispy has managed to get himself a drive-through. The whole project, apart from the temporary sub, is doing trash. And Franklin is just like doing the Hodge vibe right now, and he's nearly in that position. Both projects they've got some work to do, is how I'm going to say it on the official commentary.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those tracks where we're at, where it's so fast, so narrow, anything could really happen strategy-wise, and so far it kind of looks like it has. So we'd like to see more of that. Keep it coming. It's trying to think where we're really going to here at the moment. Hodgson's coming up on Miffy with that DRS. He's finally made it around the track. I don't think he's going to be able to make a move at the moment, but he's pretty close. We have got a yellow in the castle section. It's coming from Brandon. Has he misplaced a bit of his front wing? No, it looks okay. But interesting that he's continued to have a couple of problems around that area of the track still.
Yeah, obviously hot tyres can compound issues. One crash can mean your hot tyres lose your traction on the next corner. Same with wing damage, so Brandon's in a bit of a sticky situation. Either just a bit of clean racing or maybe a pit box could be the strategy here. Hodge still trying to make a move on Miffy. Hodge has inhaled some Class A really good racing right now, and he's performing admirably. I think he wants to wait until the big long straight to make a move. That's mostly the case on Baku. At the same time, it's been fairly quiet at the front. There hasn't been much in the way of action or collision. The two Aston Martins have been in front for, I think, the entire race. Trav is within a second, so within DRS of Zydox, who is the trailing Aston Martin. So Trav definitely biding his time. I think he's going to follow strategy. And we have Somtha having an issue, so it must be something in the water for Mercs where you have a complete inability to take turn 12 after Castle. But yeah, Somtha, as well as getting dooted out by his own captain, has followed his captain into making an error on that corner. So from bad to worse for Merc.
Yeah, we were lucky to we were fortunate enough to catch that one on the stream as it happened, really. And it looks like just as he came out of that castle section, because you're coming uphill and you've got obviously a curve on the road as you go from the slope to the level surface. He just couldn't hold on coming around that corner at the top, and unfortunately spam round, hit the wall, took a bit of damage and is missing an end plate, so he may have to come into the box for that, and it looks like that is what's happening at the moment. Nice little battle between Charmander and Franklin at the moment. Franklin with DRS, he's right behind. We will see if he's going to make a move. He dives right and he's sending it down the wall. Brandon's DNF'd by the looks of it, out in Sector 2, but we're all about this battle at the moment for P6. Charmander's managed to hang in on that left-hand side through those couple of corners, and he's still out front as we make our way towards the castle section, and there's another safety car.
There's a safety car coming in there, and that's going to be because of Brandon's retirement in the middle of Sector 2. Car now disappearing from the track, so our drivers have another tactical flashpoint, where we've got 16 laps left. We've got about 14 laps of racing, maybe 13 with all of the drivers pointing up. For the drivers that are further back, it gives them a chance to regain track position. For the drivers at the front, so Sunny, Zydox, Trav, none of them have stopped yet. It might be the case now where they switch onto hard tyres and hope to ride out the race. Trav is in a really good position for two reasons. One, he can follow whatever's happening in front of him. And two, the Aston Martins can't both box on the same lap. One of them either has to stay out or risks getting double stacked, which will set them back by a good 5 seconds. So Trav has got a really nice opportunity to make up a position here. Obviously, it sucks for Brandon, and it's just another in a long line of disappointing incidents for Merc. It might throw a bone to his teammates, though. Crispy got set back with a drive-through. Something might have had wing damage. This is a nice reset to give them all sort of equal track position.
I have no idea what I've just saw. So we're under safety car conditions, full course yellow. Trav has actually overtaken Zydox coming into the pit lane, and it has stuck. He dived alongside coming along the white line, and they both entered the twisty turny bit that funnels all the cars into the actual pit lane, and through some just sheer I have no idea, but that,
you know what,
was certainly something.
Yeah, like I was expecting Trav to be ahead of Zydox leaving the pit box because of the gap between them. I was not expecting Trav to just sort of spookily overtake Zydox on the way in. He's used some incredible Azerbaijani magic there, but you know what, we take those. Although my boy Hodgson, he's gone from almost last, he currently leads the race, 10 laps gone. there's obviously arguments about whether he should have stopped, but I think he might be expecting another safety car, and at that point to switch onto soft tyres. That's probably the best way I can describe his strategy at the moment, because on a medium soft or a medium hard, it's probably about now you want to switch onto hards, probably in about 7 or 8 laps time you want to switch onto softs. Either way, Hodge has a 1 next to his name, which is good.
Top stuff from everyone's favourite Ferrari driver there, unless Glenn's your favourite, in which case then we move, and he's not your favourite. So, spicy times, a couple of pit stops happened. Hodgson's still on the 10-lap mediums. What's going to happen? Is he gonna try those hards or not? Just coming back to think with all the shenanigans happening that's surrounding the Mercedes stable at the moment, you know, collisions and just all the stuff earlier on. You'd think, here you go. Franklin, who usually drives for Ferrari, is a reserve driver. Ferrari, of course, the mortal enemies of Mercedes. Something a bit suspicious going on here, potentially. Some kind of sleeper agent Franklin behind enemy lines, systematically destroying the Mercedes team's race from within.
Yeah, destroying strategy. Imagine trying to pull a subversive saboteur maneuver by going into your enemy lines and just finding out they're absolutely inept and not really good at scoring points, and Franklin might end up scoring the Mercedes project team's points this weekend, which is hilarious when you think about it, although not if you're a Merc driver. We've got all the drivers sort of reconvening. Most of the drivers took that safety car as an opportunity to go into the pits. Hodge is the big exception. He's been on the same set of tyres since the start of the race. He's now the last driver not to have made a pit stop, so he's going to be still on those mediums. And you know what? If another safety car happens in about 4, 5, 6 laps, that's probably ideal as far as Hodge is concerned. Sonny and Trav are going to be right behind him. Trav maybe has the lead on Sonny late in the race if there's no more safety car, given that Trav is on the hard tyres. Equally, Aston Martin are both on mediums. Given they might be close, going onto the same tyre strategy might risk an awkward double stack under full racing conditions later on.
Hopefully those full racing conditions aren't going to be too far away now, as we see last couple of cars starting to approach the rear of the pack. I think there may just be one more lap potentially, but the safety car has been out for a little while now. I wonder whether Hodgson's slightly old tyres are going to mean he's going to be a sitting duck for Sonny and Trav, certainly. And then Zydok's coming up behind both of them. I've forgotten what I was going to say now. It's terrible, isn't it?
Yeah, we've got Zydok's just absolutely battling away in front. To be honest, I was busy taking a screenshot because Hodge said Hodge was in Twitch chat after he crashed out during Q1, and he said, "Don't worry, we're giving Hodge more of the time for his highlights reel, so you can see that he does a lost to first." And he's in P1, so I'm going to give that screenshot to him later. Let's hope he doesn't go and throw it away now.
Well, we'll have to see a bit later on in the race if he's still maintaining quite a high position. We'll have to see if we can get a poll or something going to try and put a couple of channel points on the line and see if someone can win some prizes or something based off of Hodge's excellent performance. And if not, then it's a button that I've just basically been giving access to, so I kind of want to use it for something at some point anyway. One more lap of the safety car to come, it seems. Not everyone has made it just yet, so we have 2 more minutes of stalling until we get racing underway again here in Baku, where Hodgson has got a bit of a fight on his hands coming into that turn 1 on the restart next lap.
Yeah, Hodge will really struggle. He's coming towards the end of his tyre life on the mediums. Because it's a very tyre wear intensive circuit, I can only see the mediums lasting about 12 to 14 laps. So they are at the point where you're getting minimum traction, you're getting the most difficulty in coming out of the corners onto the long straights. So Hodge is very ripe for the picking when we get to the end of the first lap, or even getting onto those longer straights in Sector 1. I can see Sonny maybe getting him there, if not originally on the restart. Hodge probably has to bide his time until after ping pong, because if you try and pull the restart before then, one, you don't give the safety car enough time, and 2, he leaves himself prone to the problem where he doesn't have enough traction, and he's directly fighting at full speed before the restart even happens.
Thanks for sharing your statistics with me a couple of minutes ago. I was just having a quick look at the figures from last year's race here at Baku, where one of the drivers made a fantastic 6 pit stops during the race, which is certainly something rather special. But I feel after the shenanigans last weekend that maybe 6 is probably not too great, because I'm pretty sure people pit more than 6 last week.
Yeah, must be par for the course. Anyway, Sumter was probably really proud of his teammate that weekend. So we're coming around to the last few turns in lap 13. The second safety car. We've had a VSC and 2 full safety cars now. Everyone's sort of getting ready for the restart. We've had race control confirm it, and everyone's sort of going left to right. Sonny is already right on Hodgson's tail. He's getting that mental warfare ready. I would love to see Hodge brake check Sonny right now. I would really love to see it, but it's not happening. Sonny, because he's a very pragmatic driver, he's very good at spotting those small gaps. He's going to be looking for the overtake directly off the restart. And Hodge is out of ping pong now. Let's see if he's picked the right moment to accelerate. Sonny is right on Hodge's tail. Hodgson's still weaving for now, and he needs to pick the right moment to accelerate. He's getting closer. The safety car is in the pit lane, so Hodge can choose any moment now. I think he's going to send this one all the way up to the line. Hodge is getting faster, but he has not hit the button yet. He's totally taking all of the grid for a nice little circus ride. Trav, Zydox, Smithy all weaving behind. Is Hodge finally going to hit the button? He has, and Zorti Gaben has collided with Law further back. It's going to be absolute chaos back there. So far, all of the drivers at the front really stacked. Is the braking point going to be fine? There's already a collision between Sumter and Maka as they try and get into the right point. The cars are really clustered. It's like lap 1 all over again. Crispy making a really late send, and he's almost forced Monty into a wall. That was a really nice, ambitious move. We've got Franklin trying to take the position off Charmander Nerd. They're close. Charmander on the hard has to pick the right braking point here. Miffy really close as well. And Franklin's going to do the wall a bit before Sumter almost takes him out. Big Merc Strats coming in strong. Maka following Charmander Nerd into Sector 2. Franklin losing a few positions. Law and Gaben, I'm sure, took wing damage from the earlier issues. Still, Ben, how are we doing for Castle section?
Oh, I'm knackered already, mate. I'm absolutely knackered already. Sonny's just disappeared off into the ether now in front of Hodgson, which is par for the course, and then Zydox is just trying to get past as well so he can start getting on that Aston Martin rear gunner action. No issues coming through Castle just yet by the looks of it. As he says that, there's an issue as someone comes through Castle, and it looks like that issue was with Mr. Law in P14. He's got no wing, and he's probably lucky to still be in the race. Glenn is also slowed up a bit, probably behind Law, possibly, coming into that section. So good to see they're all round there. Also, no issues as well coming into the ping pong section. Zydox is right at Hodgson. Oh no!
He's not DNF'd it straight away. He spun around the side, but all of the other drivers have to get into a really small area of the track on the left. They've done it so far. Glenn is going to go right into Hodge here, and Hodge just about gets out of the way. That could have been collision between the two Ferrari drivers. Law is now going to attend his tyre into Hodge. Hodge has absolutely messed up his positioning. He nearly messed up his captain. He actually did retire Law, and that's going to be a third safety car. Hodge, you blithering idiot, after so much good racing, you got yourself into P1. Okay, ping pong didn't go too well for you, but you have chosen 2 really horrible moments to come back onto the track there. That's going to have big implications.
I'm lost for words after watching that. I mean, you know, we're not obviously in the car with the drivers, but we've got the cameras here and we can pick and choose. And just sitting on board with Hodgson looking to his side and just seeing cars fly past, gotta be absolutely bricking it. Let alone Law coming around the corner at, you know, some velocity. You've got the yellow flag to say that there's, oh, hang on mate, there's possibly something around the corner. You want to go and have a quick look and don't bean it. And then all of a sudden you've got Hodgson just clapping his cheeks in the middle of the track, and you just get caught by one of them. And unfortunately for Law, I think that's a bit too much, and he's gone for the rest of the race, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's one of those things that it's why stewards get involved, because it's not black and white, it's a bit nuanced. on one hand, yes, it's a yellow flag. Law should be watching out for incidents. On the other hand, Hodge, I believe, changed his direction as Law had already committed to a point to get past him. So, you can't really absolve either one. If neither had done what they were doing, the incident wouldn't have happened. And together it all combined for the multiple root causes of a beautiful, catastrophic incident. So, I would argue Hodge should have retired if we're talking justice. It sucks to see Law retire his car off that one, but Hodge has got quite a lot on his hands to make up the distance. He's at the back of the pack. He can pit because we're under safety car conditions, and we've got about 9 more laps of racing once we get out from under this safety car. So I think at the front, the Aston Martins have done really well. I don't see any of the leaders, which is to say anyone from Sonny down to Gaben, pitting again. So I think that because we've got fewer racing laps ahead, the drivers on the medium tyres will be able to maintain their tyre life better, will be able to ride out the safety car laps, and will as a result have an advantage. Sonny looking really good right now.
Yeah, we've seen 5-6 cars just dip into the pits, get some new wheels on. Not very fortunate for Somfer. I think he was serving a penalty by the looks of it. He was just sat there in the box for a while before they started doing work to him at least. So penalty-wise, we had a lot of drive-throughs earlier in the race. They all got cleared up. So now we've just got 2 5-seconds, one for Gaben and one for Crispy, which I think were caused by collisions possibly at the start of this safety car period or the last one. I can't remember now, unfortunately. Somther's dropped back a little bit though because of that chain of pit stops and having to serve that penalty, but you know, things to progress to make. We've still got 10 laps of the race to go, probably a little bit less after this process is done at least. So still all to play for, and importantly, you know, we're looking down the times at the top, and the top cars are all pretty much up each other's arse. Obviously, it's a safety car. But even when they were racing, Sonny had disappeared off. So not ideal for Sonny. Ideal for everyone else behind him, though.
Okay, so this is the 3rd full safety car. We've still got some time before our drivers reconvene. We've got a lot of the drives towards the tail end, picking up the soft tyres. Crispy with a 5-second penalty, and with the hard tyres on, it's almost certainly going to pit again. Partly to get off the hard tyres, and partly because the pit removes that 5-second penalty. I believe even if it's under the safety car, we saw that in Russia last weekend, that sort of questioned the ethics and morals of it, but it means he is going to get in there. Somther, Crispy and Franklin, the 3 remaining Merc drivers. Glenn and Hodge, the Ferrari senior team, really trailing their junior counterparts. Maka and Gaben have overcome their earlier drive-throughs to get into a really nice position. And Crispy is going to go into the box. Let's see if he goes for the softs or the mediums with 9 laps to go.
He's going for the softs by the looks of it. After he served this penalty, of course.
Yeah, great play by Crispy. So clears the penalty, means that after a safety car, when everything's clustered together, he's not going to get nosed up by several positions at the end of the race. And he's given himself a really nice ability to catch up with the rest of the pack. I really like this stall, so I think that with the back of the grid all on fresh softs, and the front of the grid on sort of worn mediums and hards, it could really set up a thrilling finale where you've got the chance of the back drivers overtaking the ones at the front, even if you'd argue that maybe they wouldn't on another day.
Well, I think a lot of the strategic decision for what is over 2/3 of the grid, or just under 2/3 of the grid, apologies, that are still on the mediums and the hards, they're taking the risk that, you know, if there's another safety car that happens in the next 9 laps, you know, that what they're going to do, because you've got people on softs, they're going to obviously be pushing for. I think a set of softs is probably going to die off after 7-8 laps maybe, so it's going to be very borderline towards the end of the race, but certainly in this restart and certainly in the 5-6 laps after the restart, it's going to be very much the ball in the court of the drivers in the last 5 positions.
Yeah, and of course with it being the Baku City circuit, it's not like NASCAR, it's a very narrow track. There are limited opportunities for overtaking, and after you've overtaken someone, because of the way DRS and Slipstream works, it's possible they're immediately trying to hunt you right back. So it might be a bit naive to think that you can put on the soft tyres, go to the back, and then suddenly make up 10 places in 8 laps. It's probably not going to work out for you just because of the difficulties of the track I've just mentioned. So as we get down to fewer and fewer laps remaining, as it goes below the tyre life of a single tyre set, it becomes a really difficult decision, and often you can only know whether it's the right one based on what the other drivers who are taking the same decision at the same time have already done. So a real hindsighter. Charmander's got his way into P5. Both Red Bulls are on the hard tyres. I would argue they've got the toughest job of all of the drivers from a strategy point of view. They've just got to try and hold it down, use the skills that are at their disposal, and keep their cars in a good position. I can't see Trav or Charmander troubling the drivers ahead of them, who are sort of very fast, who have better tyre compounds, and because of the safety car, they can keep the medium compound active until the end of the race at this stage.
Yeah, I think what you say is definitely a good evaluation of it. Although if there's another safety car, Trav and Charmander, they can stay out. The other people have got to think, okay, well, are our mediums going to last, or do we come in, get some softs, and then try and take them a couple of laps later? Obviously, there is a finite line in the game where there won't be a safety car after a certain number of laps. I think it's with 3 laps to the go, 3 laps to the end. So any time after lap 22 or 23, we're not expecting to see a safety car. So it's going to have to be pretty quick shenanigans. But obviously, a lot of cars bunched up, and almost half of those cars on a significantly faster tyre compound than the half in front of them. So it could be potential shenanigans that mean Sonny and Zydox maybe have to think about pitting again. But I think at this point you've probably just got to hang on to those mediums, try and eke them out to the end of the race, and see where you end up.
Now, one thing I'm going to point out is that I'm looking at Hodge right now. He's just coming up to the back of the pack. He'll be within the back of the pack when we restart, and it should be at the end of this lap, as race control is confirming for us. Hodgson has pitted 4 times in the last 4 laps. He pitted lap 15, 16, 17, and 18. His first pit was onto hards with a wing change. His second pit was onto softs. He's now done 2 more pit changes onto softs. And because of the safety car, he's lost nothing for it. So I'm just going to have to put my arm around him after the race and ask if he's okay and have one of those discussions, because I don't see any sort of logical reason apart from just banter why you would do that. Either way, we've got a restart to do. Sonny is going to hit the button. He's going to get some immediate space onto Zydox. Maka is going to have Trav taking for a braid. Trav getting an immediate slipstream. Maka's going to slingshot it right back, as we're going to have Charmander and Gaben doing similar. Maka is trying to get that right-hand position on the track, and it's nice 2-wide racing at the moment. Gaben getting the move onto Charmander, but having to tuck in there. Charmander and Gaben very close, wheel-to-wheel racing 2 wide as we go into the big straight in Sector 1. Gaben positioning himself just behind Charmander there. We've got Franklin, Niffy further back.
Yeah, it does look like Charmander's now having to play the rear gunner.
Hodge doing something. And Monty's caught behind him. Same with Crispy. Massive collision at the back. And I interrupted you there, Stu. Were you talking about Hodgson?
No, I was just going to say Charmander's having to start playing the rear gunner job role now for the Red Bull guys at the front. See if Travis can start an assault up on the P2, P3. But yeah, a bit of a nightmare for Sumter today. Either hitting other people or getting hit himself potentially. So we will see where the cards fall in the next couple of laps for him.
Yeah, horrific at the back. I'm not even sure where it started at the moment, but it did catch about 4 cars in the ensuing battle. And Hodge may have to consider pit stop number 5 after that one. Just kidding, he is still going. The soft runners have mostly been neutralised as a result. And we've got Franklin and Niffy just ahead of them. Niffy on the fairly fresh mediums. We haven't got the DRS yet. I think that will come after lap 20 finishes. But after that comes in, we're going to be seeing lots of really big overtake potential on this final straight. Niffy is moving on Franklin here. And looks like he'll be able to get his car in front. But Slipstream works both ways as Sonny sets the fastest lap on the mediums. Gaben overtaking Charmander Nerd, trying to get himself positioned to the right. Charmander not having the position to send it, so he's just going to tuck in behind Gaben. and the rear gunner of the Red Bull team has been neutralised. Trav is finding himself out of DRS range of Maka already, so I don't see Red Bull mounting a title challenge unless something crazy happens this late. Sunny and Zydox really have this wrapped up.
Yeah, well, you know, we've still got 6 laps to go. Obviously, a safety car now would, paddle that a little bit, but I'd like to think that everyone's going to be able to make it around perfectly fine, okay. Zydox pretty comfortably sticking within about a second of Sunny, so they've got a pretty reasonable buffer up front, just enough to bring him out of the DRS range of Maka, who's currently running in P3, which is good for the Alpha guys, but it's also coming back to what our starting grid was as well, because I think that was Sunny, Zydox and Maka as well. So it's worked itself out again by the looks of it. Everybody getting through Castle okay by the looks of it. No commentator curse on that one. All looks okay. Crispy and Somtha though for the Project Merc guys. Back in 12th and 13th. Not a great day for Mercedes as a project, unfortunately. Maybe a case of GG go next, but Franklin's still clinging on to the points for them as their reserve driver for this week.
Yeah, well said. Another 12 races for them to go, but Franklin's still in hopes of getting something here. Miffy has a massive slipstream on Charmander Nerd. Doesn't have the DRS yet. Race control has just enabled it, but it will be effective on the next section. Zydox has gone into the pits, which is crazy with 5 laps to go. That's got to suggest wing damage. The softs are coming on, and that is not even a wing change. That was an intended change onto the softs. He's lost about 20 seconds of time there, and he's going to re-emerge in P11. That's got to be a really hot strategy, because I don't see him making up that many positions. Sunny is now left on his own up front, although with a massive buffer back to Maka and P2.
I'm a little bit confused about that strategic decision. To be fair, tried to catch it on the camera for everyone to watch at home, but unfortunately I messed it up a bit. So apologies for that. But Craden keeping us audibly informed as ever, which is was a testament to him. A very perplexing course of action. Maybe he's sacrificing his race to test the water for Sunny, but you know that. They're not I don't think they're like a close-knit unit as a team, I think, so I wouldn't expect one driver, especially reserve driver, to sacrifice their race for someone else just to see if some tyres are going to be any faster. So not too sure. Maybe they had damage, we'll see. Maybe they just wanted to fight with Hodgson, really, which is also an option, because behind is Zydox and he's gaining, so this could be potentially a bit unfortunate for Hodge in a bit. Ooh, they did look quite close there, but we will keep an eye and see what happens. Yeah,
this is really difficult. You know how Darth Vader keeps on tracking down those resistance fighters at the end of Star Wars? This is feeling like a reverse with Ferrari. There goes that analogy though, as Somtha has DNF'd. He's gone into a wall. We wait to see what race control does about it, but Crispy is going to be the only driver behind him in P13 at the moment. And we'll hopefully have an onboard of what's happened. It looks like a bit of oversteer coming out of there, loss of traction on the curb. Something's just absolutely DNF'd his car in, so no result to the rest of the field at the moment. Maka currently in the lead. I'm not sure what happened with Sunny, but Sunny is showing us in P7 to me.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get to grip. He's gone onto softs as well. With 4 laps to go, he's given up the lead and has gone onto softs. I don't know. There must be something that we're not seeing here, or something like that, because that's a really weird thing to do, I think. Sunny is on the climb though. He's taken Franklin in P7, and he's now got 4-second gap to close to Charmander in P5. So we will keep watching on that. What there is to watch at the moment is Gaben is up in P3. He's got a 5-second penalty, which is unserved at the moment, but he is within range of making moves on Travis, who's currently running second.
Yeah, Travis having to defend at the moment. He's got 10 laps down on the hard tyres, so still got a lot of tyre life to use, considering a lot of that was under safety car. Gaben isn't really a threat to Trav at the moment because of that 5-second delta, but DRS is going to see Gaben mount an attack if he can make it past Ping Pong. Yeah, more on the Aston Martin strat later as we see Gaben make a really smooth move here. He's within a second, well within in fact. He's got the natural slipstream, he can burn through the ERS, and he's got the DRS to use as well. And we're going to see an absolutely massive speed differential there. Gaben passing cleanly on the left. And at the moment, we have an Alfa Romeo 1-2 with 4 laps to go. Sonny could maybe do something here, but the feeling at the moment is, has he left it too late?
We might also see Glenn making a move on Franklin here, which is a bit unfortunate for Franklin. He's been doing quite all right as a bit of effort, but Franklin is actually coming into the pits now, it seems. So maybe the mediums or the hards or whatever people were on at the moment are starting to die off. Franklin's on 11 lap on mediums, which is coincidentally what Maka and Gaben in P1 and P2 are currently on. Trav's on the same amount of wear, but he's currently on those hards, so maybe the mediums aren't the tech at this late stage of the race.
Okay, Sonny is looking more and more threatening as we go round. He's already on the back of Charmander, who's an accomplished racer that can defend very well. And they're approaching castle section, so Charmander about to make a defense. Sonny couldn't really send it there, although there were overtures from both drivers. Charmander can hold up the faster Aston Martin as we go through this part of the track, but it's going to be really stressful here. At best, Charmander can defend until the home straight, but Sonny is looking really powerful. Can go down the inside here, can make it too wide. This could be dangerous for both drivers. There is almost contact between Charmander and Sonny, both really experienced drivers going to the limit of their abilities, but Sonny unable to send it past. Fantastic defense from Charmander, who is defending for himself, but also, you feel, for his captain Trav further up the field. On the ridiculous hard tyres after 12 laps, he's made it last until King Kong, and that's all you can ask of any driver.
Yeah, some absolutely wonderful sights here as we're watching Charmander do defence of the century. We see a yellow flag somewhere. Looks like one of the Ferraris. It looks like it might be Hodgson, but we'll come to that in just a couple of seconds. As it looks like Sonny has actually made it past Charmander before turn 1. So Sonny is released and is on his way now as a cruise missile into the inner sanctum of the Red Bull team. As Miffy currently holding P4 and acting as rear gunner for Travis, who's on that bottom step of the podium. Can he hold on from Sonny, who's on a relentless onslaught? There's only 2 laps to go.
Yeah, this is absolutely glorious. This is the third last lap, 2 full laps after we get to the finish line here. So Sonny is absolutely nosing it through the field. He's got 5-second delta over to Miffy, but I'm sure that will evaporate quickly. He's on fastest lap pace at the moment. Trav also, you're just seeing Trav and Sonny outperform what they should be doing. Trav is keeping up with Gaben. Maybe it's tyre fall-off point for Gaben's mediums. Maybe it's Trav just absolutely hamming it down with his championship second place pace. But Trav is really making things count and he's keeping within DRS of Gaben. Maka leads, he's got no penalties. If things stand this way in 2.5 laps time, Maka will get his second win, but he's got so much to weather until that point. By the way, Zydox is within 3/10 of Charmander, Charmander having to defend from a second angry Aston in 2 laps.
Yeah, we've been watching the Charmander Zydox battle for a couple of minutes now. Doesn't seem to be as much of a threat as Sonny was. Sonny was all over the place, looking very menacing, and playing the whole mental aspect as well. But Zydox is keeping it pretty clinical, pretty tame behind at the moment, just being there and being in the right place. And as they're coming up to the DRS section, it looks like he's about to make his move. I don't know why it always gives us these rubbish camera angles just as the money shot happens, but he has made it past Charmander, so thanks for that, Codemasters. We owe you one.
Yeah, Codemasters really showing up their class in all departments this season. We've got a yellow flag, which appears to be a Ferrari, specifically the Ferrari of Glenn, who had an incident at that part of the track last lap. He's battling for the minnow share of the points at the moment. Trav is in P3 with 2 laps to go. They're coming around Sector 1. Sonny is within, I think, 6 seconds of the lead, which is remarkable, given the amount of inting I would ascribe to his pit strategy of pitting for softs with 5 laps to go on Baku. Trav is within half a second, so you've got to give DRS some credit. Gaben has the 5-second pen, so Trav is in net P2 at the moment. Trav's real goal, as well as maintaining his position, has got to be to try and make inroads and dispatch Gaben so he can fight the real leader, which is Maka. Maka has driven really consistently, and despite the earlier drive-through, he's managed to get himself to the front of the pack. He's on 13-lap-old mediums, which you've got to argue towards the end of their life. He's got some real defending to do in these last few laps. And Trav and Sonny are probably the 2 that you fancy in making those positions happen. Sonny and Zydox cutting through the field now on the soft tyres. Let's get a quick look at Franklin before we go on to that final home straight. He's battling with Glenn at the moment. He's made himself to the right. They've gone too wide, and Franklin leads into Castle.
Yeah, pretty good stuff. Glenn's definitely trying to keep up with him on the entry there, but has to give it up, otherwise he's going straight into the wall. Nothing much further than the battle at the front at the moment, so we'll stick with this for a couple more seconds at least, as the leaders are coming on to the final lap. So good stuff from Franklin, brilliant start and keeping it at P6, P7, but now back to P10, so not ideal, but great effort still. Just shame we couldn't hold it in there, but at least it'll be 1 point for Mercedes if he keeps it there till the end. Now, final lap, of course, we'll go back to the battle at the start. All three cars now insanely close together, especially Gaben with that penalty, so anybody's game still at the front.
Yeah, Gaben is going to try and keep his car there, but he's also going to try and defend. He's got the penalty, so he's not going to be getting onto the second step of the podium. He's just going to try and keep Trav and Miffy and Sonny and Zydox, the Red Bull and Aston Martin pretenders, away from his boy Maka, who already has one win this season and is looking for his second. They've got the final approach at Castle to do, and the Alfa Romeos are managing to keep it strong through there on their 14-lap old medium tyres. Sonny could make up several positions, but it looks like his switch to softs was too late along with Zydox. He is 1 second out on Miffy, and it looks like Miffy has got that fairly under control. Trav within half a second of Gaben, will have the DRS, will have his last vestiges of ERS, but it's unlikely to see how he would catch Maka unless he messes up ping pong. Commentator curse. Let's hope it doesn't land. Maka coming round, has to control his car here, and does so, comes out with a brilliant apex, and that could be a way to get himself victory in this, the 99th VLF1 race, halfway through Season 5. The two Alfa Romeos had a drive-through, but from absolute ignominy, they have come through to cross the line together, and Maka is going to get that big dub. Congratulations.
What an end to what a hectic race. I mean, I don't feel like we've had chance to really stop and take account, even with the 3 safety cars we had, possibly 4. I can't remember. There's definitely 3 though. It's great news for the Aston Martin guys, Alfa Romeo guys even. Shame about the Aston Martin guys. Get them mixed up. Yeah, that soft strategy did seem a bit weird so late in the day, especially with there not being a safety car or something at the time. So unfortunate that's played out, but Sonny, who ended up going to I think 7th or something, has clawed up a couple of positions. Zydox, who went to pretty much stone last, has still clawed it up to halfway up the grid. So kudos for them, and great driving from both of them today. Maka, Travis and Miffy on the podium, which is pretty good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't see Miffy getting there, but he's kept himself pretty clean. Nice strategy. He was sort of coming up the field with Hodgson, but then Hodgson had a few incidents of his own. So yeah, fair play to Miffy getting up there. Amidst all of the other names and all of the real racing that's happened throughout the field, Miffy's kept a good pace himself. He's done the strategy well, and as the game would have it, he's given us driver of the day. So yeah, congrats to the guy. Congrats to Maka, who gets his second W. That's going to be fantastic for him, and we're going to see him on the podium, showing those number 1s to the sky. Picks up the trophy, and yeah, wins the 14th race of the 26 race season. So still a long way to go as far as the championship battle is concerned. I'm not sure who got the fastest lap between our drivers, but Trav walks away with P2 and 18 points, Sonny P4 and 12 points. So as things stand, Trav is going to be taking that World Drivers' Championship lead back by only a few points from his title rival Sonny. It's really close up there, and I want to see it go right down to the wire.
Oh, I can imagine to any of those of you that actually followed the real life F1 season last year, that went down to half a point tied for points on the final race of the calendar. So whether we're going to get something as particularly spicy in our online racing coverage that we bring you. So here's to hoping that everyone's still having a good contest at that point anyway. 5 people not finishing, but still nobody got lapped, which is the interesting point. Hodgson 1 minute 15 back, but still didn't get caught by the leaders. So still a pretty still a pretty consistent race. I guess that's caused by the safety cars though, and there not being very much opportunity to let the race play out and see what happens on those long runs, which is unfortunate for true, if you want a true race, I guess, but fortunate for us as watching because we get a lot of action happening.
And yeah, that's a nice function of the safety cars. You don't like the interruption, but you do love to see at least I do. I love to see the strategy. I love to see drivers big braining their way to the front, like we've seen Crispy and Monty do in the past with like groundbreaking strategies that have beaten the field. And we also get to see the drivers who weren't really in contention earlier on react later on and maybe get themselves a few positions. Trav and Sunny have performed well as they have in the last few races. In the last 7 races, Sunny's won 4 of them. Trav's finished second in 4 of them, and 5 of them now with today's result. So yeah, there's a lot of really high potential and consistency from both of them. But we're also seeing the newer drivers. Zydox was an unknown quantity 4 races ago, but he picked himself up a P3 in Belgium. He could very much have been P2 today if he hadn't made such an awkward pit stop decision with 5 laps to go. I feel Aston Martin will be ruining that decision because I didn't see them giving away their positions at the top of the timing stack with that short amount of the race to go. But that's racing for you. You can look back, you can learn, and they've got another 12 races with which to evolve as Season 5 enters its closing half. Still, it's been fantastic to commentate with you once again, and thank you for the amazing wizardry on the production. As you pointed out with the multitasking earlier between the grid, the intro video, all sorts of analytics, and getting that viewer experience. Hell yeah. And thank you to all of our viewers who've been watching. I definitely try linking it out. I'm sure we'll be back next week where we'll hear the same complaints about logos and about it being the League of Legends stream title.
Well, next week is quite a special one because the 100th race of VLF1 next weekend, I believe, isn't it?
Yeah, spot on. And we'll be going back to Silverstone. We were in Silverstone for, I believe, round 10 or round 11 this season. We'll be doing a special one-off second trip to Silverstone. And yeah, it still says it's in celebration of our 100th Grand Prix. It seems like only yesterday we were starting off with a completely new crop of drivers on the F1 2018 game. Especially drivers like Travis will have been there from the start. Various drivers will have come on at different points. But it's crazy to think that we've gone through 100 official races. Even I think nearly all of them have been 50%, with the first few being 25. So yeah, real landmark moments for us. Still, it's been a pleasure to cast with you today. I look forward to the 100th. Have you got anything to close out the stream for us?
I don't know, mate. I mean, so okay, a bit of advice I would say to anyone considering commentating on a F1 or any other motorsports, really for that matter. If you do have a beverage with you, which is quite advisable to keep with you for these things. Of course, staying hydrated is fairly important as always. Don't drink it all before the race starts because damn, I'm thirsty.
Okay, in which case we're going to get you to a toilet break as quickly as possible. I'm going to end on a joke. Well, 2 jokes actually. They're about the animal kingdom. If you think about different species, it might be a bit risque, but I'm going to tell the joke anyway. So first one is, what has a small penis and hangs down? You're looking for an animal.
I don't know. What does have a small penis that hangs down that is an animal, Crowden?
It's a bat. Okay, so that's the first one. The second one, what has a big penis and hangs up?
Batman. I don't know. What is it? Oh, wait, no, hang on, I've been played. Oh, my. Excellent. Well, top stuff. But yeah, as Cradden says, thanks very much for joining us today. Hopefully we will see you all next week for VLF1's 100th race. Thanks for watching.